Hello, and you're very welcome to episode 30. Already 30 episodes, wow, of the Take a Poll podcast. Andy Cummins and Declan Carroll back again, and we are going to be previewing Clonmel on the 15th of February. And we have plenty of listener questions as well to start the show. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But before we start, Dec, how are you?
Yeah, all good. A little bit disappointed after the Clonmel horse. Just don't know. Maybe it's a lack of inexperience. Probably ran a little bit green. Might be another day in it, but did manage to get up for fifth and claim a bit of
little bit,
money.
Little bit back, yeah.
We'd be celebrating, you know.
Absolutely. Oh, look, you can't win them all, and yeah, as you said, it might have just been a lack of match practice when going to ask to win a race. That might be the underlying issue there, but there's always the next day. It's always the next day on this pod as well. So doesn't it? If you're not winning, you're learning. It's usually the best way to put it. So before we cover Clonmel, Dec, as I said there, we've a good few listener questions. I popped out a tweet today, is what we usually do. We're trying to make this a regular thing, and we got quite a lot of responses. So thank you very much to everybody that did send in a question. And if I did miss any, I do apologize profusely. I will try and get to them all the next time, or at least I'll come back online. I usually do like to answer questions, so I'll pop back online and answer them if I did miss any. But we will start because there is quite a few, Dec. B Magic 101 with the first question: would you drop the Cheltenham Festival back to 3 days and try get more of the best versus the best, or are you happy with the current setup, or would you want to actually increase it to 5 days because you love watching racing?
Is this a paid question, is it?
Yeah, well, I
suppose. They were dishing out 50 quid.
Yeah, we should get a few quid for answering this one. Now, look, the way I say it, look, the Irish love a good long festival. We have Listowel, we have Punchestown, we've Galway. Like, we do love a good long festival, but those festivals are, well, maybe with the exception of Punchestown, but there is a Banks race every other minute in that place. So,
and there's a bumper every day as well.
Exactly. So, like, Cheltenham is all about the best. I've always said this. I'd take away all the 2.5 mile races, and you send them to Aintree, and then you have the best 2 milers and the best 3 milers, or in the Gold Cup case, the 3 1/4 milers. That's the way I do it. I'm probably in the minority there. I have big plans. If you wanted to keep the 2.5 miles there, I'd love to, take out the Ryanair and make the play part of what's the best word I'm looking for? Make it a series, because you have got the big handicap in November, you have the big handicap in December, you have the New Year's Day handicap, you have a big handicap on Trials Day, and then you have the one at the Cheltenham Festival. And there's even one, I think, in April. You could have a 100 or 200 grand bonus if you got a sponsor generous enough and have all the 2.5 milers try that. That would be good. I'd thoroughly enjoy that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's just my idea. Tech, do you have any idea? You probably want it back to 3 as well, would you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I know the Mayor's program has been brilliant for racing, but not everything has to be at the Cheltenham Festival. Like, talk of veterans, right? There is other festivals that deserve their day. The Ryanair has been quite damaging to the likes of, as well as the Gold Cup and the Queen Mother, the Melling Chase and the Ascot Chase on Saturday. But like, there's no reason why another spring festival couldn't have a Mayor's final and they'd all turn up, and they might win that and the Champion Hurdle. Some of the mares.
Absolutely.
Look, the Ryanair and the Turners you could probably put into one race, but the Ryanair, you could only run it as a second season novice. I'd get rid of the Ultimate. Well, maybe there's no Irish horses in there, so we've no interest.
Exactly.
Look, there's that. You could be here talking all day about it, but there's no two ways about it. It should be only 3 days. It's definitely been diluted.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree with that, and it'd also be cheaper for us to come over and like to go to Cheltenham. But
that's your liver as well.
Exactly, that's a story for another day. Next question from Liam, Anti-Post Angle or Anti-Post Value as well, if you want to find them on X/Twitter. Interested in what you see, or interested to see what you made of Charles Byrnes winner the other day, lads. Liam is referencing Aidan May, who won the 315 at Navan on Sunday at 16-1. And became kind of the second big price Charles Byrnes handicap winner this season. I think he had a 40-1 winner, I think, at Cork a month or two ago. I suppose every horse can't be a plot job. Is that what it kind of probably boils down to, is it?
Well, I think in the age we live in now, in this social media age, like, everything's pigeonholed, and like before social media, and you could see, replays of every race, and everyone was commenting on every race. Charles Bourne's big price winners that weren't gambled, so you see him having a winner, and you think he's just after punting the ears off it. Now, apparently, he did have a punt in the ring, but it's not always like the gamble we seen at Roscommon a few years ago, or a good few years ago now. Like,
yeah.
Putting off the boards.
Or even going back to, was it Starlight? Was it the one that won at Christmas? Maybe it wasn't quite Starlight, but he's had a few around Christmas, especially up at Leopardstown.
And you don't know either. It's not always that safe, Like, to me, that horse wasn't jumping out, like, and you don't know what, like, from doing this every week, you don't know what you're going to bump into sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
You think you've laid one out to win, and the fella down the road has just done it a bit better than you. So I suppose he did have a bet. It was late, but it's not always going to be substantial. Like,
that's it. He mightn't tell the world. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And look, he probably has the best handicapped horse in the country when it hits a bit of spring ground. If any loyal listeners might know that, but we'll keep that until next time when we see an entry. Moving on to Prendy MG. So his question is: Stateman's best chance of beating Constitution Hill is over what course, distance, and potentially going?
Well, he'll be match fit this time. Constitution Hill, we don't know. There's talk that he's had a wind up. How much time has he missed? The horses improve at racing as well. He's going to have to improve a lot. But like, as we said on this before, it was a strange ride in the champion hurdle last year. He wasn't really asked the question, and he was an easy second. So, look, he's a lot to make up. But, I believe Willie's comments were, it was fighting talk anyway the other day. So they are going to have a good go on him. And he's coming there, on an upward curve, whereas Constitution Hill probably doesn't need to be on an upward curve, but we don't really know.
I could see, I know we're getting away from Irish racing here, but we are talking about an Irish horse. Could you see Stateman giving Constitution Hill a good go in March and then having a right go of him at Aintree with Bob Ollinger and co, but then Constitution Hill skipping Aintree and favouring Punchestown? That's what I think is going to happen.
I don't think he'll go back to Aintree.
Neither do I, but I think Stateman will.
Yeah, he could do, yeah. He could well do it. Like, you could argue Constitution Hill was on the limit of his, of his stamina at Aintree. And look, I don't know whether that's the reason he's having the wind up.
I haven't heard about this wind up now myself. I've heard that he had a little setback, but look, he obviously hasn't been the cleanest of seasons. If they've only been able to get him out once. I don't care if there is waterlogged or snow or hurricanes or whatever the hell. If they wanted to run it more than once, they could have run it more than once, and they haven't. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when we do get to March. Moving on then, Dec, we don't need many words here. We don't have any entries, we don't have any weights, but we will answer the question. Timothy Rogan 77, something for the Martin Pipe. We'll obviously keep it Irish. I'm going to say Waterford Whispers. Let's see if he gets an entry. Dec, what about you?
Yeah, well, I was thinking answer the cave, and if you're thinking along that line, it does bring you towards Waterford Whispers. So I like that one. I go with him. Right,
Waterford Whispers. Henry de Bromhead, JB McManus. Jamie Mellon, one of our longer term listeners, in a now wide open article, obviously referencing Marine National's blowout at Leopardstown. Quilixios at around 10 or 12 to 1. Would you back him at that price? I'd back nearly any horse at a double figure price in that article. It's, as I said, it's wide open, and Quilixios completely fits that bill. I'd happily be taking a chance on him if you're inclined to go that way. Dec, what about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Why not? It's been blown wide open, and there's a house to be picked in the ball now. I do think if Marine National turns up fitting well, nothing to beat him, but it's a big chance now at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. His only time he bombed out, I think, was over 3 miles. Might have been something wrong with him that day, but I wouldn't budge off him. Jimmy S, you're barking up the wrong tree with our thoughts on Langer Dan. This is an Irish podcast. I don't care for him. So on to the next.
I think he's probably
he's campaigned like an Irish horse usually, though. That's the only thing I can really say. But anyway,
he's not treated like one by the British Handicap.
No, he's absolutely not. No. Michael Grane, if you had a €5 each way Yankee, what would you be putting it on at the festival at this stage? Now we weren't sure if we were going to answer this one because again we want to keep it as Irish as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a Yankee with 2 from myself and then 2 from Dec. So Dec, you can give your 2 first. Unsurprising who the first one's probably going to be. Go on.
It's obviously going to be Captain Guinness.
You did say each way, so need to get the start. Yeah,
the each way part's probably for the other 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, anyone who's listened to us, probably any of the episodes before knows I'm a massive fan of Captain Guinness, and I think he's got a great chance.
Absolutely.
My second one would not be for most people, but I know he has his issues. He does hang a bit, but he's supremely talented on his day. And if he was to repeat his run of the John Dorkin, like I don't think appreciated would be far away. I think it's a race that suits the 2 miler stepping up. Like he won a Supreme Novice. He's plenty of speed. If his head is right on the day, again a wide open race. Like you know, there's nearly a different favourite every month for that race, isn't there? Like
I think for most races, I say many people
in a race where we know so much about, like a race for open company horses, we know so much about it. It's just a bit of a minefield. So I think it's quite open, and I think Appreciate has a lot of the qualities you need to win it.
Yeah, no, I'd absolutely agree with you. I wonder what price he is. I will double check his price. I was just trying to get the prices up for my ones. Mine are not going to be as flashy as Dec's, but you know, you said a 5 each way Yankee. I think all being well, these horses will be placed. And the thing about these 2 races are you're going to get 2 places on the day because these races are going to seriously cut up. So the whole Yankee's got to be over fences, Dec. It's my first one is in the National Hunt Chase, Salvador Ziggy for Gordon Elliott and co. Look, it's just we know he's going to run there, and we know he's going to get a top amateur. And he's ran to 150 already. Like he's probably not the most unexposed novice in the world, which is why you'd probably go down the National Hunt Chase route. But he's ran to 150 pretty much bang on at Listowel in a Kerry National. I don't think there's many horses in here that run to 150. Embassy Gardens obviously is the favourite. He's a height machine beyond belief. Okay, he jumps a fence well, but he's still yet to beat a top class horse. Like you can say Sendor Clegane, okay, fair enough, but what's Sendor Clegane really done? Let's be clear about it, doesn't stay 3 miles. And who's the other one? Corbett's Crosser. I don't think he's a stayer. I think they campaigned him completely wrong.
I don't think he's a chaser.
Yeah, he's probably not a chaser either. Yeah, you're probably right. So for me, it would be comfortably Salvador Ziggy. I think I turned around to my old man and said he'd win the National Hunt Chase after he was crossed the line in the Pretems. And then the other one, Dec, it's a horse we're both very keen on actually in the Browns. Monty Starr, who jumps like a buck. Hasn't been seen since New Year's Eve when he beat 3-card Bragg, but that wouldn't worry me too much. He jumps so well and travels so strongly, and he just looks like a proper chaser. I think he's probably around the 6 or 7 to 1 mark. I think he'll win the Browns, to be honest with you. So yeah, Debbie, that's our 5 each way Yankee, I suppose. So thank you for that question, Michael. Moving on quite swiftly, Bode 699. What race does no flies on him running the festival? Well, he has to go and win on Sunday, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He needs to win, and he's probably going to run the Supreme because Mystical Power probably for connections or for the owner probably. I would imagine it's going to go in the Wednesday race now. But Jesus, he's an exciting horse. I might get down to Punchestown try and see him. I'm very much looking forward to that. Dec, any opinion? You're good with no flies on him, or?
Yeah, I think he goes Supreme. Yeah, I've never thought any different.
Yeah, nearly there with the questions, and I would say the best one for last, but we're not quite there yet. Barry Jones, Barry, you had too many numbers in your at name to put up your hats on. Sorry about that. We run out of space. And why do some people think there's a chance of Ballyburn going to the Bearing Bingham? It has to be the Supreme. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. It's been obvious since the day he kind of won his bumper, end-to-end galloper, and that's people talking through their pockets, isn't it? Really, Bearing Bingham talk. It is.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's always been the Supreme. Now you can never trust. I think you can never trust it until declarations, can you, with Willie? But you know, Willie's got the Supreme, don't he?
But he is a grinder. Like he is cut like a Votor or even a like. I know he wasn't. Yeah, like even a Classical Dream. Like he's just gonna go from the front and he's just gonna grind him. Whereas Mystical Power, he could probably pick up off a Doddle or pick up like off the drop of a hat, which will probably suit a Bearing Bingham. So yeah, no,
I do agree with you. I don't think Mystical Power jumps well enough.
Yeah.
No.
Which is another reason why you go for the longer race. So
yeah.
Nearly there then, Dec. Brad Maxley, perhaps it won't be the timer format and probably won't be, but we'll try and win it as quick as we can. Interested, basically, we ran out of font here. We're only allowed to have 200 characters per question, different to Twitter. But basically, Brad's question is essentially asking why some horses stay in bumpers and then in novice races until they're probably 8 or 9 years of age, and they've been, you can only argue where they're past their peak. Especially the 4-year-old pointers. Dec, you'll probably be able to address this question a little bit better than me. But we have said it many times, like some really good horses spend too much time in this novice company and then just kind of get caught out because they've already possibly peaked by the time they're against the open boys. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, well, look, we're totally against bumper campaigns. You know, bumpers serve their purpose. I've no problem with them. And I don't actually even have a problem with a horse winning a point and going to a bumper, but you should move out with them and get racing. It's jump racing at the end of the day. And it's just, we're not seeing horses campaign as aggressively as we used to. And I've no time for horses spending, seasons you're in open company till you're 8 years of age. It makes no sense to me, and it creates a lot of these hype horses because it's like a young lad who's really good at football underage. When he goes to senior level, he's quickly found out. It's the same thing. Like you have these hype machines in novice company, and as soon as you go into open company, I don't even think they might not even be past their peak. They just weren't good enough. But we've had to wait so long to find out. And it's just a little bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way the calendar kind of operates for it. And if you want to get as many wins as possible and the owners to enjoy themselves as much as possible, like it lends itself to it. But yeah, it's just the way it is, I suppose, Brad. Ian Rayner from the Cheltenham Exchange podcast. Any surprises from the latest round of scratchings and entries from the Cheltenham Festival? Dec, did you see the scratchings today? I doubt you did. Did you?
I didn't see a lot. I got a lot of texts to let me know Foreign Glory was scratched from both, but you knew that was going to happen. He posted obviously at Leopardstown, and I'd say it was pretty bad. So other than that, I haven't got an awful lot of time. I was disappointed to see Fratas didn't get an entry in the Mayor's Novice. She'd got an awful lot of weight there because she wouldn't have been carrying the penalty. So, look, she's obviously difficult enough to train, but hopefully she goes to Fairyhouse and she could be a better Fairyhouse.
Yeah, I think they might be keeping her for a flat campaign. She'd worth more money to place in a listed race than to win over hurdles, but we'll see. Like she looked like a much improved mare or filly when they did try her in the maiden hurdle, and obviously the form is boosted at Naas on the weekend. So she's a very exciting filly, and they've time with her though. As we said, she's only 4. Yeah, so they do have time with her.
Well, there's I don't know whether it's listed or it's grade 2, but there's the juvenile hurdle at Fairyhouse.
Grade 2.
Andy Mack won.
Grade 2.
Horse I think was placed in the German Oaks last year.
German Ledger possibly. The Master Crossman filly, or I can't remember her name now actually, but one of the big prices.
Could go there with her, and it's only 2 weeks after Cheltenham. Might be a much easier option.
It's also it's 2.5 miles, but there's a Mayor's Novice Grade 1 there as well, so you never know. And then finally this just actually with scratchings, Mirazor West was actually a refreshing one, to be honest with you, because he's a big raw backward sort, and I think a spring festival could have done damage to him. So it's good to see that they're not going to Cheltenham with him this year, and hopefully they can keep him to winnable races and just give him a bit of experience, because not every decent promising looking novice has to go to Cheltenham. This is by far my favorite question. This actually gave me headaches on the way home. I had a good look at this on the train on the way home. Adam, GG Banker, a great Twitter account, great follow if you actually do have the opportunity if you're on there. Has lovely handwriting and follows the French form. Lovely handwriting. No, so look, if they were asked to give a handicap, if we were asked to give a handicap mark to Pastoral after the weekend run, what would it be? Now, for context, Pastoral was second, beaten 12 lengths by Brighter Days Ahead, Navan over 2 miles 5. Really, really impressive from the winner. She looks a serious mare. But there's so many ways you can approach this deck. Did we come down? I don't think we came down on an absolute agreement just yet, did we? I didn't get your opinion, but
no, I let you answer this one, Andy, because you only sprung this one at me, and it's not one I could answer.
Yeah, no, it took a little bit. I'm probably going to get it wrong. I'd probably be lenient, but I think you should always give the novice the benefit of the doubt. I would have came down on probably 1-2-2, which I think people could look at that and go, Jesus Christ. But the way I saw it was Mel Monroe, who's rated 128, was probably a little bit below form in third. She was beaten about 16 lengths by Brighter Days Ahead. Brighter Days Ahead was spotting all of these fillies and mares for £3 as well. Pastoral was staying on second, beaten 12 lengths. Really, really good run. Before that, I think she was beaten 6 lengths by Birdie or Bust, who does have a mark of 127. Fun was second in that race at Thurles, but she obviously blew the last and was much better value for that 127 rating. And Pink in the Park, who was behind the Thurles, who I think is rated 134. She was just below form that day. So I'll take probably the most reliable line is probably through Birdie or Bust at Thurles, and then probably saying that Mel Monroe was a little bit below form. So I put her on I think I put Pastoral on about 1-2-2, and I put Brighter Days Ahead. Like, I didn't want to go absolutely crazy, because if you say Mel Monroe runs to form, you're talking mid 140s Brighter Days Ahead, and then if she's getting her £7, you'd be saying we're getting the Ballymore, we're getting the Bearing Bingham, we're getting the Supreme. So what would I put Brighter Days Ahead on then? Probably 138, 139. That'd be about something around that mark. Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, Adam, I'd say about 1-2-2 for Pastoral. I'd be interested to know your thoughts though, if you could reply if you'd end up watching this.
If she had a French mark, I'd probably just multiply by 2.2 though, Adam.
She probably didn't. She was pulled up in France over hurdles, and then they sent her straight over fences, and then she won, and then she was sent to Henry's. I love how the French campaign horses, brilliant. Anyway, so it'd be interesting that she's not a novice over fences anymore. But thank you very much, everybody, for your questions. We've probably spent a little bit longer than we should have on them, but that's great to have the support. We do very much appreciate it, and it's always nice to compliment a great card at Clonmel with some fantastic questions from everybody else. So moving on then, Dec, to the main event, the Clonmel card for Thursday, the 15th of February. First race,
the main event is the Clonmel card on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Hall Race Day, Mares Maiden Hurdle to start us off then, Dec. Look, I couldn't think of a much better way to start us off than a Mares Maiden Hurdle. It's been a while since we've had one of them. It's probably been about 2 episodes. So we got a big field, 14, which is big enough for Clonmel. Palisatan, fourth on her last 2 starts. Probably, you could argue, maybe sets a standard here. Lep Around, great name as well. She was a good second, I think, towards the end of the year. Or towards the end of January at Limerick. I think you might have been there that day, Dec. But what way do you see this? Obviously, got Gulliver Run as well, who probably had a great bumper form, but probably needs to step up on her initial debut. What way do you see this?
Well, look, I suppose the Lord Maid, she was toured to Maureen in a bumper the last day. I suppose it's whatever way you want to look at that form. It really is hard to gauge us, but she was visually impressive, Maureen. Cotilly Park was a short head tour to Analeka and Ashdale Flyer. They both ran in the race you've discussed at length there, the Brighter Days Ahead race. Now they were 5th and 6th, second last and last. They were well beat, but it's probably not going to be very deep. Willie has one in here, Kuta
Yeah. Kuta Dea. Yeah, we'll go with Kuta Dea. Why not?
Kuta Dea. She was a point winner and she was a bumper winner. She was then third in 2 bumpers last spring. At Punchestown, she was behind June the Marvel, another one of Willie's, which we haven't seen yet. She could be a nice one. But I'd probably side with Joya Del Mar. We've put her up before. And, you know, I'm a fan of these colours. She was held by Stattler up at Fairley House. She was second before that to Mossy Fen. I think she's just going to take another step forward. It's not a race I'm be mad keen to get involved in, but like I Kuta Dea, she's been off since Punchestown, so you know, and she hasn't jumped yet. I think it's probably quite open, so Kuta Dea might be the one to come out of it and do the best of them, but Joy Del Mar for me on Thursday.
Yeah, I like Pal Atan or Atan for Gordon Elliott. I think the yard was like, I don't want to say it was out of form. It's never the right thing to say about Gordon Elliott's yard. They're never necessarily out of form, but through mid-January they weren't banging in as much winners as you would have thought. And I think this mare, you could argue, may well have won. Now, she finished 4th, but she just jumped the last with very little momentum. And I think you can make an argument that she probably would have won. And I think a repeat of that effort, I don't think is going to... Like, she really shouldn't be too far away. The thing about Mullins' mare, Kuta Dea, as you said, Dec, she's been off quite a long time. But Janie Machter, they've waited a while to go jumping with her. And looking at her point-to-point form, like she, I don't know if it's fair to say that she probably wasn't in love with jumping, but the fact that they've had basically 2 seasons in bumpers makes me think that she may have struggled. And that's why I just couldn't back her on her hurdling debut. Joya Del Mar obviously sets a nice standard as well for herself. Lep around as well, but for me, I think Pal Lathan, I'll take a chance on her that she'll be able to make a 3rd time lucky over hurdles for Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott. And then for yourself, Dec, was Joya Del Mar, was it?
It was Joya Del Mar, yeah.
Happy days. We will move on then swiftly to the 140. The Derry Gra Maiden Hurdle, another Maiden Hurdle. It's always the way on the Thursday podcasts. This is over 2 miles. And we have the 13 going to post. Do I want to say it's open? Like, you always see a Mullins horse in there and you're like, oh, well, it's a Maiden Hurdle and Willie has one in it. But Dec, is it that simple? Who do you like here?
Well, is it Milo Lisez?
It is, yeah.
It's been very, very disappointing. Like, very disappointing at Limerick, and I don't think there was anything amiss. It was just a very, very poor run. And I think it was a nice before that where he looked like he was going to leave it behind, but he's definitely been too disappointing for me. Be keen to take him on. Undeniable Alibi has been disappointing as well. Has a bit of hype around him. It was 2 lengths toward to Western Diego on his hurdling debut. I didn't think he jumped great. I'd be keen to take him on again. I'm struggling with it, but I've landed on Stickman. He was toward the Cola Blaze in an auction bumper. He was then 6th in an auction maiden. He was 6th in auction maiden before that. Black Bamboo won that, and Porsche's Price was 4th, who bolted up at Torres last month in a very, very winnable race. He'd be a tentative selection, Stickman.
Yeah, like this race is tough. Like Paul Townend getting up on Maroto. But I would have actually thought you mentioned Milo, like Milo License. We're going with
Milo.
Yeah,
Milo
I would have. Like, he was bitterly disappointing, but he's only ever ran over hurdles on heavy ground. So I'm just wondering, does this horse detest heavy ground? But it's going to be heavy anyway on Thursday. So like,
Clonmel will be heavy if it's soft.
What I'm thinking about this horse now, if he gets on a bit of spring ground and he managed to finish 2nd in a bumper and he's been disappointing in 3 runs, they get the same thing here again. Like, Willie might just be having this horse for it. Like, he could go up the handicap in the summer. Like, he could end up in space. I'm not saying he's a 150s horse now or anything like that, but like it's very rare you see a trainer like Willie get them handicapped on heavy ground, and then they hit a bit of spring ground, and he'd be one to watch very, very closely. I'd love to see now how he's going to run. I couldn't come down on anything in this race. I found this very difficult. Undeniable alibi, as you said, Dec, been really, really disappointing for. I think he cost big money as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
300 odd K or 170K or something like that. Look, he'd want to start doing something like. I don't think he's ran in the strongest maidens in the world, won by Western Diego and Petit Secret. Look, if he can find his point-to-point form, he's probably the one to beat, but you'd be taking a big, big chance. Stickman, as you said, Dec, in his first time pieces. John Shinnick taking off 7. Obviously, he rode
double at Mace the weekend.
Double at doing very, very well. And this is a good opportunity for him. Like, he's on a horse there that could definitely take the beating in what looks a weak race. Would I be wanting to back him? I don't think so. But something has to win. But the one I want to keep an eye on, as I said, is Milo Lysis, who I like. If he find a bit of good ground now and coming back into a handicap, he could be very, very interesting in the very, very near future. But we will move on then, Dec, to the main event on the card. Obviously, Clonmel is the main event of the pod, but the main event has to have a main event, and it's the Sherhall Mercedes-Benz Novice Hurdle. It's a Grade 3. Often a race that's thrown up a lot of Cheltenham clues as well. I think Manila Indo got beaten by Allaho in this, and we've had, I think, the Gilligan horse, who he ran in this, I think, then was placed in the Martin Pipe. He led them over the last, but he won. Ran in this last year, and did Hidden Valley Lake maybe?
Hidden Valley Lake might have.
Yeah, Monty Star was well beaten in it, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, it's usually a race to watch very, very closely. Only a quartet though. Search for Glory with his mark of 146 or 136. Harvard Guy, who gets £6. He's rattled off 3 wins in a row. Really tough. 142 he's rated. He's likely the one to beat on the ratings. Largy Hill, Dec, 3-mile winner last time out. And then Sarah Barra, who, with all due respect, probably has no chance here, but if one of them falls, she gets a nice bit of black type for connections. So what one do you like out of the 4?
Well, Sarah Barra got £7 from Search for Glory, and she was beating 7 lengths. She's getting £13 on Thursday.
That turned into a complete a sprint though. Like, you did well to get beaten 7 lengths that day. I would have thought.
Yeah,
Matten's way fell away that day, and
was kind of surprised when I looked into the form, because I think we discussed her in a couple of handicaps as well. It was Search for Glory. He was third at Christmas, and Answer the Cave has franked that form. He hung left that day, 7-year-old. He's to give weight all round here. As I said, he's to give the £13 to Sarah Barra. Look, Largy Hill, Glenn Kiln did frank that form the weekend. But I just, you could argue he has a little bit to find with Search for Glory, True Stellar Story. And Search for Glory did give Stellar Story £3 the last day too. Look, I go with Harvard Guy. He's won 3 handicaps. The latest was off 131. He's up to 142 now. He's a 6-year-old. He's on an upward curve and he's stepping up 4 furlongs. I'm not sure how good any of these is, but this horse is improving. So, and he's a year younger than the 2 geldings anyway, I think. So, it'd be Harvard Guy for me.
Yeah. No, look, I was going to say it now. If Harvard Guy is evens or better, and with a bit of luck he will be, I'll be getting stuck into him, because he's a really progressive 6-year-old. Like, he's gotten handicapped last year. He strengthened up during the off season. His form has worked out well, like beating Ask Anything, who's ran well subsequently. Then beat Lord Eskern over 2-mile 4, who won the Liffey at the Dublin Racing Festival. And then he's gone and beaten Kilbury Warrior, and he's ran down Kilbury Warrior as well, which is, when she gets out on the front end, and she can be hard to catch. And she did get out on the front end, and it looked for love nor money that she'd stole it under Dara O'Keefe, but Harvard Guy managed to to his credit, runner down. Mark Welch was probably a little bit more comfortable as well, as one of those comfortable half lengths. But he's stepping up to 3 miles. I don't think he's going to have any issue with it. The only kind of chink in his armor might be as if it turns into a sprint. And a lot of these 3 mile novice hurdles have been turned into a sprint this year. Search for Glory obviously benefiting from that at Cork, but has been beaten subsequently. He has to give away the £6, like you said. And Largy Hill, very, very tough to assess. Kind of like what you said there. Obviously, Stellar Story has beaten him already, and I wouldn't say he's very close to the top of Willie Mullins' pecking order. So for me, if Harvard Guy was, not odds on, I'd be having a pretty decent bet. I'd be shocked if he wasn't favourite. I'd be honestly on the floor if he wasn't favourite. I don't know if you have tissues, Dec, but
Largy Hill 11-8, Harvard Guy 6-4. So.
I'd be leathering into him at 6-4 because I'd be very, very confident in him at 6-4 if I got that. But I'd be shocked again, as I said, if you got that. Anyway, anything else to add there, Dec, or are you good?
Oh no, look, I fancy him too. I'm rushing to have a bet in this race, but I do like
it's the higher grade stuff I'm into.
Confident as you. What?
It's the higher grade stuff I'm into anyway.
Yeah,
this is more your stuff.
Next one now.
The Minerstown Handicap hurdle. It's an 80 to 95 over 2 miles. This is exactly what you were looking for. 16 with a reserve. Tingerin Express waiting to hopefully get a run for connections, but we will see. Top weight, Dec, an old friend of mine, and kind of you as well, from the Gowran pod that we did on Thyestes Day. Kilbarry Saint, Danny Gilligan taking off the 5. A very, very valuable 5. They're keeping her at 2 miles. If she turns up in the same form, I think she's very hard to beat, because Danny did drop his whip in the home straight of that race. I'm not sure it would have made a difference. The winner was kind of got the hang of everything. So I do think, she might have bumped into one, but be Kilbarry Saint for me, Dec. Who is it for you?
Yeah, look, she's gone up £2 for that win, and Z-Band has ran 2 or 3 times since. Yeah, look, you could say he's knocking on the door, but he hasn't gone in. And Star Official was, ran well, placed again. You'd have likened to see one of them go in. She's gone up to £2 as well. And there's a couple in here, like, and Not the Getaway. He was toured here the last day on only his toured handicap start. He's been left on the same mark. He's going to go close. You'd expect a bit more improvement out of him. But Knockback Rambler was, they punted the ears off him at Punchestown, the race that Silent Flight won. He was dropped £1 for finishing 4th. I think he was 66 to 1 or something the night before when we put the tweet out, and he could have been nearly favourite at one stage. He went off 14s. He's dropping back half a mile and trip. Probably just didn't get home. He'd be the one for me now. It'd be between the 3 of them, but he's been dropped £1. She's gone up 2, and another Getaway's been left on the same mark. It would be Knockback Rambler for me. Yeah,
it's similar enough profile as well to Kilbarry Saint, that he just kind of faded late over the 2 miles, and just they're coming back, or over the 2.5 miles, and they're coming back to the 2 miles. So no, I can completely see it. I'd just be happy to give Kilbarry Saint another go. I think she might have pleasantly surprised connections, and maybe 2 miles on testing ground is now the key to her. I know you're dead right though. The form could have definitely worked out better.
It hasn't been bad. Like they've placed, like Z-Band has placed twice, I think. He placed at Ferry House. I'm not sure where he finished in the end on Sunday at Navan. Right. But he was there. He was there for a long way anyway. And Star Official has placed again, but he's the safest each way bet ever, I think.
He is. No, he always runs his race.
Not placed.
Poor lad. I'm going back to that race. I'd be really interested to see where Henry and Connections send Champagne Marler, because he didn't have travel through that race at Gowran. Probably had the run of the race from the front end, but he looked like a horse that had finally all clicked for him, and he went up about £10, I think. But I think he could definitely go in again. and he looks every inch a chaser. So he'd be a very nice horse, only 6. So maybe one to keep an eye on for next season when he does go chasing. If they can get him into those rated chases and kind of get his confidence early instead of maybe getting him stuffed in the better beginner chases. But sure, we'll see. He'd be one to keep an eye on. Moving on deck to the half 3, the Kilmolash qualified riders handicap hurdle 80 to 102. So this is just shy of 2 miles 3. And again, it doesn't get much easier for me. Anyway, we did have one question actually about this race, which I was going to keep for this for this segment. I'll see if I can find it now. It's so many bloody questions. I'm scrolling through them. There we go. I didn't forget you about JMC 7II. Who wins the 15th early at Thurles? Now he did mean Clonmel, but and why is it What Eyes Quest? So we'll start with What Eyes Quest, Dec. Do you think he can win this off a big weight, or do you fancy anything else?
Yeah, look, I don't think the weight's gonna matter too much. He has a decent pilot in Ray Barron up as well. You know, it's for amateurs claiming 7. Well, a lot of them are claiming 7. He's claiming 5. Look, he was 5th to Champagne Platinum on his handicap debut. He's dead on well enough without getting too close. He's up 3 furlongs here. It's looking like now it's always brave to do it in these amateur races unless you can get a good one. They have gone and got a good one. I think he's a fine rider. It's all about Eve. She was third at Punchestown. Look, I think she's gonna bump into a couple here. The biggest danger I'd say will be Intersky Sunset. Handicap winner in November off 84. 4th, 2 starts go off 92, then 3rd off 95, up to 98 here. Like,
hold their form well though.
Yeah, I know, but that's up £6 for losing twice. It's going to become more and more difficult. But look, you can see her running a big one and running into a place. Carla's Big Jim will probably lead over the last and just not be up for the fight again. Has looked like the winner the last 2 times. Once at Clonmel and the last time at Limerick. But yeah, it's looking like Waddy's Quest. That's the one landing on anyway.
Waddy's Quest. Okay, so you one pod man with you there. However, I'm going to actually stick with Intersky Sunset. I have a feeling they might change tactics with her. I think they're going to press on early. Like, she definitely goes well on heavy ground. She's not usually held up, but she's not necessarily prominent either. I think they might eke out a little bit more improvement in her if they ride her a little bit more aggressively. Now, sometimes that can be dangerous in qualified riders races, especially inexperienced qualified riders, because you can get racing very, very early. But around Clonmel, it doesn't tend to happen. So I would like to think that the track is going to suit her, and I think if they press on, and if they do get racing early on heavy ground, they sometimes they just don't come back to Clonmel. So for me, I think it would be Intersky Sunset, just to kind of piggyback on her good form. But it's a valid point, Dec. She is up, what you said, £6 without winning the last twice. I'd say we'd have it between ourselves with the 2 that we popped up, Intersky Sunset and What Eyes Quest. But
Carla's Big Jim is probably going to finish third, looking the winner.
There's the TriCast, 80 to 102. Thank you very much. On to the 405, the Grange Novice Handicap Chase. One of 2 chases on the card. No bumper on the Clonmel card for this Thursday.
It's like it was put on for us, this card.
Yeah, this is brilliant. And we just know, we already know, and listeners probably already know the horse we're going to instantly pivot to here. But just before I do, Dec, Farmers Lodge had an entry here of 130, which would have been some laugh. He was slated to carry 13 stone if Barry Connell declared him. Which I don't think has been done since Arkle, basically back in the day. I don't even think hunters carry that these days. Dundaniel ended up tops the weights off 113, not 130. But Dec, we're probably going to speak about Invictus Mashing here, are we? He fell very early at Nace when he was behind. Well, not behind. He fell at the first point, Pat's Choice. I think that was the infamous Fairden Place race that was rescheduled to bring up a bad memory. But I don't know if you fancy him here. Obviously, you didn't get much experience the first time, or who do you like?
First of all, I might have got the riding Farmers Lodge if he didn't have put heads down. I look at Invictus Machine. I just don't know anymore with this horse. I don't think we know anything about this horse. He gets talked about a lot. We've put him up, but we've talked about him possibly winning races. We've talked about him as one to watch. I don't know about this horse anymore. I don't think anyone knows about this. I don't think Gavin knows about this horse anymore. So look, you know the story though anyway, don't you? I'm not putting him up here, but when you're beaten, it's always McManus. So it's probably going to be Invictus Machine. Look, I think this is a tricky little race. Gavin has Dutch Schultz in here.
Dutch Schultz as well, yeah.
Dutch Schultz. He's a maiden winner. And he was a maiden winner. And he was fourth last Easter off 116 in a decent handicap. The Cotta Harla and Loiser race.
Cork,
only a 7-year-old, hacked her down in 2 chases. He's in here off 113, £3 lower than his run that day. He's definitely going to have a chance. Cosmic Rock is a 10-year-old, but it's a chase debut. He won off 96 over hurdles. He's in here off 99, but you'd be hoping there's something more progressive in here. Mick Charlie, he won off 101 the last day. That was over hurdles. He's in here off 91. He just might not jump well enough, though. They tried chasing before, and maybe it's just not for him.
Okay.
The one for me is, and he's a little bit of a cliff horse. He went into the Tap Tracker before Christmas, and I was just really excited to see this entry. Junot, he's only a 5-year-old. He was a short head second to Rusheen off 87 the last day over hurdles. Now, that was the race that Juicer was in when he came down 2 out. He'd be knocking on the door. Like, he's placed his last 5 runs. His jumping over hurdles needed to improve, and it did improve. And he was just unlucky the last day. Like, it was only a short head. So he's running off only £3 higher here in his chase debut. Look, if he doesn't win on Thursday, he'll be beaten by Dutch Schultz, but he'll win the next day.
So this is a horse rated 80, 90 by Make Believe. So flatbred, and he's making his chasing debut. This will be one of the bolder shouts. This one will be the bolder shouts on top now if this thing was to win. You're going to get a big price, and funny enough, I think Mick Winters had a winner on this card last year in the qualified riders race that we just covered. A horse that I loved. I actually can't remember the name of him now. I'll have to find the name of him now in a minute, but Irish Blaze, not something like that. Something Breeze, maybe. Anyway,
this horse is only 5. There is loads of time for him. He was beating the short head the last day. He's going to pick up a race soon over hurdles. You know, they've gone chasing with him. I'd imagine Mick Winters has skilled him. He's not just like, right, shall we give this a go? I'd imagine he can jump. His jumping did improve over hurdles with racing. So I just think it's so interesting. As you say, he's flatbred as well. Yeah,
very, very interesting. Same sire as I think Attaboy Charlie is by Juno, is by Make Believe as well. Anyway, I'm going to keep it quite simple, Dec. I wouldn't say it's the best handicapped horse in the world, but it's a horse that's starting to run into form and is only a 7-year-old. It was Fate for Henry de Bromhead and Mike O'Connor. Similar enough to the previous race. I'd just like to see this horse kind of take this race by the bull of the horns and go nearly from the front. Look, he was running quite well in the summer of last year at tracks like Tremor, Wexford. Had a little break and was well beaten by Don't Go Yet. And like, he was definitely running an improved race. Thurles, when he fell at the last, he wasn't going to win, but he was going to be placed. And then he was only beaten a half length behind Pat's Choice, but there was borderline carnage coming over the last in that race at Naas. Like, it was really, really messy. One horse that got snatched up was Midnight It Is, who then went on to win at Ferryhouse a couple of weeks ago. And this lad was the other one that was kind of done in the melee, but he was only beaten half a length, and I think he got £1 for it. If he runs a similar race, I think he's going to be very hard to beat. As I said, Midnight It is kind of frank that form. Snake Oil will frank that form when they run him over 2.5 miles. And then there's Union Park, who I do think he reopposes here, does he? No, it's McAlpine. It's McAlpine. Union Park had an injury, but McAlpine is for the same connections actually. Philip Rothwell. But for me, same owner, yeah. But for me, it was Faith. I do actually quite fancy him. He'd be my second strongest bet on the card, assuming the Harty horse in the grade 3 Harvard guy. If he's better than even money, obviously he'd be my main one. But this lad would be my second one. I think he's going to be quite hard to beat.
The only thing I will say is, while he does look like he's on a competitive mark, he was never good enough to win off a similar mark over hurdles. I think he won a maiden.
Yeah, he did. He won a maiden, but you could actually probably make an argument this was a career best over fences. Now, he has ran to higher RPRs over fences, but they were in kind of uncompetitive months. They were in June, August, so I would say getting to a half length behind Pat's Choice in January at Naas would probably be stronger form than what he's shown at Wexford or Tremor in the summer. So I think he could be still an improver at 7 years of age as well. But,
it was the fact that he wasn't good enough to win off similar marks over hurdles that just put me off, and because I want the back Juno.
Yeah, by all means. Well, we're going to finish off. I think this is not the first time Clonmel have finished their card with a beginner's chase, but here we are. And we are absolutely going to cover it. It's the Monk's Grange beginner's chase. 10 going to post. I think there must be a ceiling on this one, Dec. But we have a few old friends in here. Heart or Dark. 116 or less. Heart or Dark. Joshua Webb, who has a chase mark of 118. But you probably have the hurdles of 116 as why he's allowed to run here. And Petit King as well for Eddie Cawley, who I might give a little plea to at the end of this podcast. If he somehow does get it, we'll record a clip and pop it up online after. But I'm going to give him a little plea after this just to sign us off. But Dec, how do you feel maybe Petit King is going to do? It is his third chase start, but his form isn't bad. He's a horse that's in decent enough form.
Yeah, he is 8 though, and there's a few in here that might be more progressive.
Okay.
Heart or Dark, he's behind Meeting of the Waters and the big chap on his chase starts. He is a maiden winner. You could say maybe he's setting the standard here. Joshua Webb, he was 10 lengths. He was actually 10 lengths ahead of him at Cork, but he's had 11 runs over fences. And he hasn't gone in yet.
He's 9 as well.
Is a 6-year-old, but he's a bit defined with Joshua Webb. So, Joshua Webb, 11 goals and has been able to win, but he's beaten 2 of the ones who are probably going to be quite short in the betting. So, for me, it was Quest with Speed, 7-year-old, 1 off 104 over hurdles. This is his chase debut. I think you can't really hide them in here. You're going to have to go and...
Yeah.
You pick up a race here. You have horses who will struggle to win a lot of races, so you just go and win a beginners when you can. They're not always getting buried. So when it's races like this, you just go and pick them up. It probably won't affect your mark.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. There's a couple of horses around that 116 mark, like the Gradual Slope, who's a 116 rated hurdler, but it looks like he hates fencing. He's been pulled up the last twice over fences. Quest with Speed, very interesting. Also getting 7 claimed off his back. He was beaten a length and 3/4 by Millstream Lady in a competitive enough handicap at Naas. I think that race completely changed complexion as well. In the late stages, he won in November, ran 2 kind of average looking races, but then came flying back to form at Naas. You could argue he's still improving as a 114 rated hurdler. If he takes the fencing and the little step up to 2 mile 4 could be very, very interesting. So he's one that you'd have to take very seriously. If he fences well, he could be very hard to beat. As you said, Petit King Dec is 8. McDermott probably is going to be favoured on account of connections, but is second to Farmer's Lodge, probably isn't bad form. He probably does take the beating. But we did mention Heart or Dark. It's first time up for Gavin Cromwell, which is it's an interesting point. So Keith Donahue is going to take over. Is that enough to make me want to back him? it's probably not. But you don't know how much these horses can improve when they do go to Gavin Cromwell. And we did see a horse go from Thomas Gibney to Gavin Cromwell win earlier in the week, Velvet Elvis. So it can be done. It depends what price you'd be getting. If I got a big enough price, Gavin Cromwell in these races, usually not far away. He's never far away with horses at this level, to be honest. He's just a genius operator. But he'd probably be the tentative selection if I got an each way price, but I don't think you will. Quest with Speed as well. Look, if I got a big price, whatever one's the bigger price, I probably will have a little bet. I'd be wanting an each way price on either of them. But Quest with Speed probably most likely
being quite possibly favoured here.
Really? You think it'd be that short?
Yeah.
Even with William Paul in the with McDermott?
It'll be between the two of them, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'd be back in Quest with Speed if I got the value, because, as I said, like he is looking progressive, and he could be the one to maybe take another little step forward. So yeah, that will bring us to the end then, Dec, of the Take a Pull podcast. My last thing was a plea to Eddie Cawley. Please run at it by Charlie in the Imperial Cup at Sandown. I think he'd absolutely bolt up, and then you could maybe give him a little county hurdle entry and go there with the penalty. I think he'd have won the Liffey the other week.
Will he get into a county?
I don't think he'd get in right now unless the English handicapper, taxed him to within an inch of his life, which you never know. He sometimes does it with novices. But he'd get into an Imperial Cup, no problem, and he'd bolt up. So we'll see. Maybe one day. Eddie, if you're listening, please do it. Get him on the boat. But Dec, we probably don't have a nap at the top here. We don't think we really strongly agreed on anything.
No, I don't think so. We agreed on Harvard Coy, but I wouldn't be as confident as you.
Right.
I wouldn't be prepared to nap him.
Right, okay.
No, look, I'd probably do doubles and trebles, not Brad Bramber. Yeah, Waitie's Quest, and I'll throw actually two in the chase, to Schultz and Juno.
Lovely. Okay.
Because I'll be waiting on the winner of that race for a few quid.
Good. Well, I do like Harvard Guy and Henry's in the 405, which is It Was Fate. And then in the 440, I might even do what you did. I'll take Heart or Dark and Quest with Speed, and hopefully I'm waiting on one of them for a fortune. So we will see. But until then, that was Top 30. Very much appreciate all the questions that came in as well, and all the likes and shares. We do very much appreciate it. Keep doing it. We'll keep trying to provide the winners and the good content. But until then, guys, take care and bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.